I want to talk about mentality. Not just TF2, but as a whole. When talking about mentality, you're describing the way you view and react to specific situations. And the difference between a good and bad mentality is night and day. So in TF2, what is the best mentality to have? Well, it depends on what exactly you'd like to do in TF2, but for obvious reasons, we'll be talking about my mentality and where it comes from, and then circling back around to mentality as a whole. I think any mentality for a video game starts with suspension of disbelief, or the ability to remove yourself from one story and put yourself into another. It's the reason behind things such as getting lost in a good book and how the television hypnotizes you. For the purposes of gaming, it's what's referred to as the zone. The greatest skill to own in any video game is the ability to put yourself into the mind of your character and act accordingly. However, there is a cost to being invested and focused. But rather simply, the skill of suspension of disbelief is powerful. Often so much so to the point where you get emotional, and this is where problems begin to arise. Rage quitting, cheating, and toxicity, it's all derivative of getting too far invested in the story of any one particular TF2 match. So, in order to counteract that, one must shift their perspective into something different. Now in TF2, this problem of overinvestment is much, much worse. Due to the wide range of cosmetics and item loadouts, people are able to personalize who they play as, and a particular set of cosmetics, unusual effects, and weapons is often referred to as me by players who do that. It increases the ability for one player to put themselves into the game, and I advise caution towards that. This just so happens to be the reason why I only wear Kiba's vision. Instead, you should aim to move where exactly your suspension of disbelief goes. A change as simple as going from being the character you play as to being yourself playing the character can be more than enough, and is my preferred mentality. This mentality offers a number of benefits. It does not sacrifice gameplay efficiency, while simultaneously severing the means for many negative emotional connections. It opens the gateway to deeper and more intense focus while playing, actively encouraging you to push the limits of movement and aim while keeping you cool and collected. That mentality is helpful for many more reasons, but TF2 is just one small fragment of mentality and suspension of disbelief. Zooming out for a moment to a bigger picture perspective, I think it's possible to apply this shift in perspective from games to all things. As I said, suspension of disbelief is powerful, and I think perhaps more powerful than some people realize. You see, think about your life for just a moment. Think about how you would go about describing me or to anyone your life, and you'll notice that it's in the form of a story. Stories drive everything. It is built into language, and language is built into us. Language and being able to communicate ideas and thoughts can only take place in the form of a story. Every part of your life, from your current work or school events and drama to your friends and your social standings with them, whatever it is, they are all, as we are able to communicate and think about them, stories. Suspension of disbelief is then the mechanism to which our minds use to switch our mentality to an appropriate one, given the situation. How at the end of a long shift at work you can go out and party, acting entirely different in both events, yet still being able to categorize yourself as you. Suspension of disbelief is the hopping from one story in your life to the next, and the question that's on my mind is, if we were able to apply that mentality shift in TF2 to our lives as a whole, what exactly would we notice is different? I mean, think about it. Moving things to a larger scale, politics, economics, global world events, and all of these things, stories too. And if rage quitting, cheating, and toxicity is the result of individuals overinvested in the story of TF2, then increased radicalization, political instability, and warhawks would be the larger scale equivalent. Instead, aim to think of yourself not as being directly involved, but more just as you playing yourself. and show moderation and restraint in the stories that you find you are passionate about. I think that's going to wrap things up. I hope you all enjoyed that. It was a bit more philosophical than TF2, but if you ask me, I base everything I do off of philosophy, and that includes gaming. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed that, and the next video is definitely absolutely going to be me analyzing actual gameplay. I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you all when I see ya.